Hi there, it's Corey from Nettas and Posen here, and 4th of July is just around the corner, and a lot of people are starting to think about what they want their porches and patios and decks to look like for the holiday weekend. And I thought I'd give you a way to get some instant color on the deck along with some really nice pots. So let me show you kind of what I'm thinking. We don't have a lot of our hanging baskets and potted plants left, but what we do have left lets me show you kind of some good ideas that you can use. So give me just a second here to turn this around. So, as you look at these beautiful pots with these beautiful flowers in them, I want to tell you a little something. They all hold a little secret, and that secret is that none of these flowers are actually planted in these pots. That's because we used what we call a liner pot. And when you look in there, you'll see we actually have just a plastic terracotta colored pot put into this beautiful purple pottery, and you would never know when you look at it that that's the case. So if you're out and about and you see a pot or of flowers that you really want to be able to use and have instant color, you can use it as a liner pot. Now look at that fringe tree. Sorry, everybody gets distracted by the fringe tree. Anyway, so all of these are using liner pots, and let me show you what I mean by a liner pot. So right here, these two, oh, we got some light there. You'll see the one on the left is in a ceramic pot. That has a liner pot. The pot on the right, this one right there, is the pot that we used as a liner pot. So we just dropped it in. So I can show you exactly how we did that right here. So I'm doing this one-handed. It's a little heavy. I'm just dropping it in. This one, you can see, sorry, I can adjust it when I have two hands. Anyway, actually overlaps the top of the pot, so it fits perfectly and you don't have to worry about it dropping in. Now, some other pots are going to be a little tight, or a little loose, I should say. So like this one here, you can see half of it's in, half of it's out. Underneath that, I actually have some risers in there. I used some old pots to put underneath it to hold that up. And really I need to level it out as well, maybe even put it a little bit higher. So let me show you a little bit more of what I mean by that. So when it comes time for me to measure to find the right type of liner pot, just use your trusty measuring stick, and well, let me show you what I'm going to do here. So when you get to your pot, you're going to measure the inside diameter to find out what size that is, and then on your pot you're going to kind of guesstimate the outside diameter and make sure that they fit inside each other. It can be a little tricky trying to get that to work when your pot is full, so it is easier to find a liner pot when things are empty. So I'm going to just use these empty pots as risers because I know that this is a little bit loose otherwise, and then you can see that's going to hold it in place and keep it right at the rim. I could probably take one out if I wanted to. So this is exactly the same size as this hanging basket over here. So let me show you how I do this. I leave the handle on for this in this case because it's so much easier to pick it up. Then that's all I do. Let's see, is drop it in here. Make sure I kind of fluff anything out that got stuck underneath. And presto, you've got an instant beautiful pot. Now you can usually take the handles off pretty easily, but you can always cut them if you need to. The nicest thing about using a liner pot is in the fall when everything dies back, super easy to empty out because you're just gonna pop them out, and you don't have to worry about your pots having any kind of moisture in them. You do notice though the amount of soil that you're going to use. If I'm using the pot on the bench on the right inside a liner pot like that, there's a lot less soil in that liner pot. That means I am going to have to water it a little bit more than if I had filled the one on the left with soil, but sometimes it's worth it, especially in the month of May, because in the month of May you're worried about frost and you're constantly moving your pots inside and outside, so liner pots are way easier to move around than ceramic pots. So that'd be my other tip. Now if you are using, like I'm looking at these these self-watering pots like these aqua pots, you can't use a liner in those because these are made for you to put your water in here and there's a reservoir underneath. If you use a liner pot, your roots can't get to that special reservoir, and so it defeats the purpose. So you don't want to spend money on a self-watering pot and then use a liner pot. Although if you did use a liner pot in here, you'd just be excluding the self-watering part. Now let me show you which types of liner pots we used here. So in addition to the hanging basket one that I showed you, we fit this kind into this pot. This is a bigger one because this purple pot has a bigger opening, and this one fits in there. And then you can use any kind of pot. So you can recycle some old pots that you already have left over from other nursery stock. And we just kind of double check. That one fits pretty good. It's a little low, so I probably would put a little bit of a riser in there, whether that be rocks, styrofoam, bricks, anything you have that maybe you'll get it to the right height. You don't have to worry too much about what's underneath as long as it doesn't collapse on you. So it works out pretty well. So let's see, do I have any other tips? I think that's pretty good. This is a great way to get some instant color. Look at the Sunny Susie Brownie. Black-eyed Susan vine always looks really great, and the Biden's is blowing up. So anyway, so you can get some instant color in your pots just by using liner pots. So there you have it, everybody. And again, I'm going to finish off with the look of that fringe tree, which is still in bloom. It's been we're going on 2 weeks here, and that thing is still lit up with those beautiful blooms. Anyway, I guess I better take the handle off this pot here if I'm going to leave it in there, because it looks fantastic in that pot. So that gives you an idea how you can get some instant color in your pots. And remember that the nice warm nights that we're having are letting plants grow really fast. So whatever you put in there now is going to grow really quickly. So if you have, say, an exposed rim, or you have a gap between the edge of your liner pot and your regular pot, if you have something that trails or something that gets a little bit bigger, that's going to grow over it and you're not going to even see it in a couple weeks. So that's always good news. Another thing to remember is that if you're using a pot, say hanging baskets, they have a little bit more of that tapered edge, so they're smaller on the bottom, bigger on top. That's going to be a little bit more of a universal pot, because a lot of your ceramic pots might have a really narrow bottom, and if you're using a liner pot that's a little bit more straight up and down, might only go so far and then be sticking up over a little higher than you like. So it is a good idea to try to find your liner pot before, but if you haven't done that and you're out and about and you see a pot, if it's a 10-inch pot, like hanging basket, it'll fit in a lot of your larger pots. It just might take a little bit longer for it to fill in and flow over the edges. So you do have options. You can always move your liner pots around too. So if you have them in a spot that maybe they're not getting the right amount of light, you can swap them out. Also, like if you're having a 4th of July party, and let's say you have a shady area that you're going to be having people in, you can keep your liner pots out in the sun for most of the season, and then when that party's going on for that 1 or 2 days, you just bring your liner pots in, put them in that shady spot, the plants will be okay. Then after the party's over, move them back out into the sun. So it's kind of another trick that you can use. You can swap your sun and shade plants as necessary. You can kind of cheat. Everybody's going to think, like, how can she grow that full sun plant, or he, sorry, in that spot? Like mine would die. Well, that's because you're cheating a little, but nobody needs to know. So see you guys all soon, and I look forward to seeing pictures of some of the pots that you guys plant out, whether they're liner pots or your regular pots. So we're gonna start maybe asking you to send us some pictures in. So if you're out and about your yard and you see some of your plants are looking really great, take some pictures now, and I'll ask you to send them to me later. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.